Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick.
Think about it. 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 Think about it.
November 8th Board of County Commissioners meeting, and welcome everybody. Our first order of business is our call to order, and we do have all 5 commissioners present at this board meeting. And second will be our invocation. Our invocation this morning will be given by Eric Gomez from the Boulder Street Church. Thank you for being here. Everybody, please rise and pray in your own way.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. My name is Eric Gomez from Boulder Street Church. I'd like to invite you guys for a quick time of prayer. So Heavenly Father, we thank you for El Paso County and this beautiful city, Colorado Springs. I ask today as we gather and discuss multiple topics, multiple things on this agenda, I ask that you would bring wisdom and help our county commissioners as they engage today in multiple things, talking, discussing about multiple things. I ask for peace, unity, harmony in discussing all these things. I know a lot of these things are not easy to discuss about or not simple, but I ask that you would help them to navigate all of these things. And Lord, we ask that you would help our city, help El Paso County, Lord, come together and not be divided, but be unified. We thank you. Amen.
Thank you. And Commissioner Geithner, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for that prayer, Mr. Gomez. Let us move on to item number 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items. I'm unaware of any staff emergency items.
Very good. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm unaware of any changes or postponements to today's agenda, and the next meeting will be November 15th at 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock p.m. for land use.
Very good. Item number 5.
Item number 5 is the consent calendar consisting of item numbers 5A through 5Q2.
All right, is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to speak to any of the items on the consent calendar? And there's no one online? Okay, very good. I'll bring this up to the dais. Are there any comments or questions from any of the commissioners for any of the consent calendar items? Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on item 5P, the resolution to approve an intergovernmental agreement with Teller County for a community corrections authority. We just greatly appreciate Pete Carey, Kenny Hodges, and Brett Waters for getting this done. And so thank you. It's been a challenging couple of months to get this authority set up, but we appreciate all of the efforts you've gone into, including weekend hours, according to Kenny. So thank you.
Great comments, Commissioner. I appreciate it. Any other comments or questions from any of the commissioners? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for the consent calendar.
Move approval of the consent calendar, items 5A through PQ.
Second.
All right, that's been moved and seconded, and let's go ahead and proceed with the vote. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Let us now move to item number 6.
Item number 6 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
All right, very good. I don't think there's any elected officials in the audience, so I'll bring this up here to the dais and start with Commissioner Williams.
Well, happy Election Day. In our family, we get up in the morning and we say happy Election Day. Just so you know, we have about, 195,000 votes have been turned in, and they're expecting a record turnout today, 80,000 plus votes. So we're really excited for that. I wanted to personally thank our election staff, Clerk and Recorder Chuck Browerman, Angie Leith, and the many wonderful people over in the Elections Department, plus 500 plus election judges for being in at work every day. My personal favorites, of course, are the ones who work in our building because I see them every day. But just the time that they spend trying to make sure our elections are accurate and fair, we really appreciate their dedication to doing that. Also, I wanted to encourage everyone in Monument to vote. Since I've got Tri-Lakes Cares here, they're going to have a pretty dramatic shift in their city council tonight, and in their mayor, they'll be electing a new mayor. So just encourage them to get out and vote. It should be interesting to see what we come out with in Monument. This week, I have the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. We have the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. Then we also have the State of the Region, which we're very excited about to hear Commissioner Vanderwerf. We have also, on Saturday, we go and present at a group of Northern El Paso County Homeowners Associations. This is one of my favorite presentations of the year. It really gives us a chance to talk with the individuals in our districts, both Commissioner Vanderwerf's and mine, to Homeowners Association presidents. That will be at the Woodmore Barn at 10 a.m. And that is all I have this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great comments. Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I, too, have written here in my notes, Happy Election Day, so you're not the only one. I guess that I, too, in our house, we are happy to celebrate Election Day, and I'm not sure if that's because we are indeed joyous about the ability to choose our government, or if we're ready to stop seeing so many flyers in the mail. But either way, we are excited in my house for Election Day and to see the results tonight too. And I would encourage everyone, if you have not voted, yes, please go out and vote, turn in that ballot. I'm going to keep it short and sweet otherwise and just say, in addition to the State of the Region, this week, we also have Veterans Day coming up, which I know we will talk about later. And so a happy Veterans Day to all the veterans.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate those comments. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do just want to remind everybody to get out and vote. That's how your voice is heard. To also have the PPRTA meeting Wednesday afternoon. Did want to highlight those Veterans Day activities already have started, and we'll have a resolution, a proclamation later. Probably get a little more information, but did attend the Hoedown for Heroes fundraiser for our veterans on Friday night. And upcoming later this week, of course, we do have the State of the Region on Thursday, what we'll be attending. And then there's a Mount Carmel Veterans Art Exhibit at the Warehouse Restaurant Friday night. And then hopefully everybody will get out and enjoy Veterans Day and thank all of our veterans. And again, we'll speak about that in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great comments. And Commissioner Bremer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Indeed, it is Election Day, and good morning on that. You know, it's significant in America as we continue the great experiment of self-governance endowed to us by our founding fathers. Citizens have a duty and exercise oversight and control of the government through peacefully participating in elections. And the government has an obligation to be run of the people, by the people, and for the people, and in accordance with the rule of law. This societal setup is novel in our time on Earth. For most of civilization, citizens were controlled by kings and tyrants. Today, largely led by America and our forefathers, many citizens across the world now have the ability to self-govern through the electoral process that we see happening in our country here today. Thankfully, elections in America are decentralized and substantially locally controlled. This feature of our system protects the integrity of elections by compartmentalizing problems at the local level to reduce potential harm. The federal government does not run elections. Local governments do, in compliance with state and federal law. Under Colorado law, your county commission does not run or oversee elections. That's done by the county clerk, who stands for election every 4 years and is given authority, responsibility, and autonomy under the law to administer our elections in accordance with the law. Today, I want to recognize the exceptional service of our current elected clerk, Chuck Borman. Today, he's administering his 4th and final election. And Chuck and his staff and team of bipartisan election judges deserve tremendous thanks for their dedication to a fair and civil process. Thank you to all of those taking part in making sure that Election Day is something that we can count on today. You know, in addition to today being Election Day, it's a very busy week, and regardless of what happens today, I think we all have work to do tomorrow when we wake up. And so, on that note, I will have the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments this week, as well as Housing Authority Trust Fund, and then, as it's been mentioned several times, we have State of the Region this week, and in honor of Veterans Day, our county offices will be closed on Friday.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. In my comments, first of all, I just want to thank my fellow commissioners for your great comments this morning, all of you, about the right that we have in this country to vote. It's a precious right. And if you haven't voted, please exercise that right to vote. It is so important. And I know that many people here in El Paso County do exercise that right, but we don't get everybody that is registered to vote. So if you're registered to vote, please vote. And remember, you can even still register today if you're not registered. All right, so just a couple of things for me. Tomorrow will be the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments meeting, and one of the things that I've done as chair over there, is, among many things that we've done there with a great team, I was interested in making sure we hold at least one meeting in Teller County and one meeting in Park County because it is a 3-county board. And we did hold the meeting in Teller County a few months ago, and tomorrow will be held in Park County. That when we held the meeting in Teller, it was very popular. The people there just really loved the fact that we went to go see them. And this is all about collaborating together as a team. And so we're going to go to Park County tomorrow, and I know we'll get a great reception from the citizens and residents of Park County. Also tomorrow afternoon, I'll be participating in the county's, El Paso County's Park Advisory Board. That'll be at 1:30. And as several commissioners mentioned, on Thursday, we will have the State of the Region event at the DoubleTree, and I am pleased to report it is sold out. Over 500 people will be in attendance. Also, on this Saturday, on 12 November, at 10 a.m., Commissioner Williams and I will be speaking at the NEPCO conference in the Woodmore Barn. So if you live up north in the Monument area and you participate in NEPCO events, you'll see us there speaking about the state of El Paso County, and I hope to see you there. Also on Monday at 2 o'clock, we will have a Colorado Springs Utilities work session here. This will be an opportunity for CSU to come to the Board of County Commissioners and talk about their providing of power and water and other utilities to the communities here, and that's always an important topic for the entire region, so that will be just a regular update. Also on Monday morning at 9:30 will be the COG group meeting, and I look forward to participating with that. Thank you to Commissioner Gonzalez about mentioning the Hoedown for Heroes. Several of us were there, and I was one of those as well. A great event to help raise money for veterans in our region, and I did do a silent bid on a John Wayne poster painting, and I haven't gotten word yet if I won it, but I think I was still winning it when I left that evening, so I hope I get that. Anyway, and that's all I have today. Thank you, everybody, for being great citizens, and please, please vote if you haven't done so already. You've got till 7 p.m. tonight. All right, let's move on to item number 7.
Item number 7 is Community Service Organization Reports. 7A, Tri-Lakes Cares and Crossfire Ministries Update on Community Investment Program. Haley Chapin, Executive Director, Tri-Lakes Cares. Renee Beebe, Executive Director, Crossfire Ministries.
Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners and attendees. We appreciate being here this morning. We submitted a PowerPoint ahead of schedule. Do you have that by chance? Okay, we'll do an update and we'll see if we could get that going at the same time. Thank you for having us here this morning. We appreciate it. Commissioner Vanderwerf, you mentioned just a moment ago about collaboration and coming together being important to serve the greater community, and we are big believers in the same sense. And so this is just an opportunity for us, for Tri-Lakes Cares and for Crossfire Ministries, to come and give an annual update about the use of funds that we have from the county, the Community Investment Program. And so we wanted to share a little bit about what we've been able to accomplish with those funds and give you some stories and let you know that we have been good stewards of those funds. So I'll give you a little bit of history on that. Tri-Lakes Cares and Crossfire have been collaborating with a joint application for the Community Investment Fund funding dollars for a couple years now. We continue to do that moving forward. We believe that together we are stronger and we have the ability together to serve the wider community, and we serve the whole county through both of our agencies. So we have all of our citizens covered who might find themselves in a time of need by using these dollars, along with many others. An example of a story of how Tri-Lakes Cares has used these funds, I believe it was actually our very first use of the funds this cycle. There was a gentleman who was seeking assistance with our organization, and he expressed a need for a specific tool. What the tool was, I don't really recall, but the tool was to help him. He is a handyman, has a handyman business, and he was struggling to be able to take a job because he didn't have the right tool. And for folks to be able to have that job and that source of income provides a lot of stability, and that's what we're trying to do, right? Meet the emergency needs, provide some stability for our citizens in the future to be productive and citizens coming back. So we were able to purchase this tool for this gentleman, and he was able to get that bid on that job and then provide for his income. Now he has that tool moving forward, and he can get more jobs using that specific tool. And it was actually kind of serendipitous because we were undergoing a little construction project at Tri-Lakes Cares fairly recently, and our fence that's on our south side of our property was leaning a little bit too much. And he saw that as he was coming into Tri-Lakes Cares, and he asked if he could fix it for us as a way that he can give back to the agency that supported him. And so, Commissioner Williams, you were at our ribbon cutting just this last week, and I don't know if you recall, but that south fence was very new. It hasn't even been stained yet. One of our clients, who I actually brought to the front when we did our ribbon cutting to show off our remodel, I brought this client to the front and promoted him in his business because he did work for us. So it's kind of like this unique family bonding experience that we can get with our community members that we serve, that it's not just a handout, but that it's a hand up to help them provide for them and their family. And then he even turned around and wanted to give back to the agencies that are serving him in his community. And so that was a really nice opportunity for us to show support of one of our citizens, and then for him to turn around and want to give support back to the agencies that are helping him. So that's an example of one of the ways that we've used some of the funding that we've received from this grant. Let me introduce to you Renee, who's the Executive Director of Crossfire Ministries. We've collaborated with their organization on this pot of funding, and she can give an update and a story about a community member that they've served.
Thank you so much for allowing us to come and share and give an update. We've been using the funding specifically for utilities. We've seen a dramatic increase in that need. I just want to share with you a story that my program manager gave to me. It's about a single mom. She lost her job during COVID because her kids had to be in school and she had to school them. She kept trying to make all the payments that were due. She was working before that, so she was up to date on all of her payments. But it came to the point where she was unable to make full payments for her utilities. So she started to reach out to and do payday loans, which got her into a vicious cycle that she couldn't get out of. As we looked into her story and we contacted the utility company, we could see that she had never missed a payment. But she was never able to get out of that cycle. She just had this past due, and she was barely making the current due so that she wouldn't get her utilities turned off. She told us that she had never had to ask for help. She said, "I always felt like I could do it, but then I got a cutoff notice." And in that moment, this single mom who had been trying to provide for her kids was no longer able to continue making that little payment and getting by. So Crossfire, and with the funds that you guys provided, was able to pay off her past due. And it wasn't just a Band-Aid for her. It was definitely a life-changing moment for her to get back on her feet. She is currently working right now, so she is able to continue making those payments. But we wouldn't have been able to do that because of some of the other funding had different restrictions on it. We were able to help this client directly because of your support. So from our Crossfire guests that we served, thank you. Thank each one of you for being a part of that story, being a part of her story and changing her outcome for her life.
You know, Renee touched on something that's very important about these dollars, about them not being restricted for just housing or for just utility assistance, but that we as the agency have the ability to use our best judgment call on how we can serve the citizens the best. That's what we have the experience in, and that's what our staff members have the expertise and their training in. And so to be able to come alongside the community members and do what's best for them, and for you guys to trust that we're going to be good stewards of your dollar, that's huge in equipping us as an organization with the tools that we need to be able to successfully provide for our community members. So now that we got this pulled up, we'll go through this pretty quickly, just a few slides. Again, this collaborative grant was between Crossfire and Tri-Lakes Cares. A little bit of an update about Tri-Lakes Cares information and the numbers of what we were able to accomplish during this last fiscal year. You can kind of see we did definitely experience an increase during COVID. We are not back to pre-pandemic numbers yet. I always tell the community, the people that we serve are the first to be impacted by an economic downturn, and they will be the last to recover. So while we might be a little bit back to normal, the community members that we serve are not yet there. So this kind of gives you an idea as to how we were able to assist our community. I'll let Renee speak to Crossfire.
Yeah, so you can see we are actually seeing a major increase in all of our services. Currently, the past month in October, we registered 33 new families a day, 3 days a week. And on top of that, we're serving on average 282 families. They come in for our no-cost groceries. So we're starting to see that increase. That could be because of, financial securities aren't there anymore, or coming into the holidays, we have a lot of families who kind of feel that pressure with Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, so they're looking for additional resources. But we also know that we feel like this is not going to be an end, and we have the capacity to help hundreds of families with our services, and it's because of the community that has surrounded us and supports us.
You can see the numbers are quite different between the types or the impact in the individual numbers that Crossfire serves compared to Tri-Lakes Cares. On the north end, there's not as much need, but I'll tell you, when somebody is in need, to not have the breadth of services that are down here in the city makes it more difficult and more dire for a community member who is struggling. So it's kind of interesting that we've gotten together, Tri-Lakes Cares and Crossfire, because we have the big and the small together, but we can do great things and we can serve all of our community members. So the last grant that we received was $20,000. Tri-Lakes Cares is the fiscal agent. We applied for it using our development department, and then split the grant evenly between Tri-Lakes Cares and Crossfires, and allowed each of our organizations to decide the best way to use that based on what other resources have come in or have not come in. So you can see a little bit of how that was spent. We will be submitting another application this coming year. As I mentioned, the need is still there. So we will be submitting, asking again for the $50,000 level, looking for a split between both of our agencies at the $25,000 to allow us to continue to make that impact. With the community still having need, but CARES and ARPA money starting to dissipate, that doesn't quite fit in alignment with us meeting the need. So I will tell you, and I will urge foundations, community trusts, and community entities that have funding to still keep that up there for the organizations like ours that serve the community who are the most vulnerable. I also want to introduce very quickly Carol Foster, who is a board member on behalf of Tri-Lakes Cares, to say a word.
Morning. Just on behalf of the Board of Directors of Tri-Lakes Cares and of Crossfire, we want to thank you for your ongoing support of our mission. It's obviously very important, and we're happy that we can cover all of El Paso County between the two agencies, and are proud that we can be good stewards of your money and support. Thank you.
So that's kind of our update. Open it for any questions that you might have. I just wanted to say thank you again on behalf of Renee and I for all your support of both of our organizations. We appreciate it. We had a ribbon cutting this last week to unveil our new market. We had construction. Cammie, I appreciate your phone call that week. And Commissioner Williams, thank you for being there in attendance. It was great to see you. So any questions?
Great. I've got some comments, but I'm going to reserve them and give my fellow commissioners an opportunity to speak first. first? Anybody that would like to do so? Commissioner Williams?
Yes, I really enjoyed coming up and seeing this facility. It's amazing how the community really turned out to help everybody and to get this done on a low-cost basis. And it's very accessible right in downtown Monument. And it's a tight-knit community, so it was wonderful to be there and see, goodness, close to 100 people there, I think, just to celebrate the opening, and maybe 10 to 15 vendors who personally gave of time and services to expand the grocery store there. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you. And while I haven't seen the redo in person, I think one of those pictures said it all. I love the way that you have empowered your families that need your support with dignity, the basic dignity and ability to walk in what feels like a normal grocery store and walk out with the food that they need for their families. So I just wanted to commend you on keeping ensuring that those families still can have some sense of that, because so often food pantries are not done like you all do it. And I know that that's just the visible part of really how you're taking care of the whole person. And I do believe that it is providing hope and a way for people to use these services, as I often say, as a trampoline instead of a safety net that catches you, that you get trapped in, a trampoline to spring up out of. So beautiful example. I can't wait to see the new market.
Great. Yes, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do want to thank you for all the update, and I do this every year, and the positive impact you guys provide for the community is outstanding. It's very clear in the number of families and the amount of food that's being provided, and the other services, the wraparound services. So I appreciate that as well, and thank you.
Great. And yes, please, Commissioner Guyton.
I can't really say it any better than has already been said, but it's just tremendous to know that we have support for community members. That I really appreciate the visual there of the trampoline, and hearing the stories of people who you just got a little bit behind and they just needed a little bit of help to get back on top of their lives and to empower them to be able to do that. And that's a really powerful story, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing in our community.
Great, thank you. And I'll echo the comments of my colleagues. I think we were honored to help you out with the community investment program. But the reason why we like to do those kinds of things is because you deserve it. You deliver outcomes that are good outcomes for the community there. And, for Tri-Lakes Cares, I think I've been to see your facility before the ribbon cutting, at least 2 or 3 times in the last 5 years. And for Crossfire Ministries, I've been to see you, I think it's been 1 time. And the operations are really amazing. In Tri-Lakes, loan closet, food pantry, caseworkers, medical support, just a great number of things. And for Crossfire, like you mentioned, utility support, you're faith-based. I love that because so many of us in our community, have a faith, and it helps them relate to you, and I appreciate that deeply. You work so much on family needs, and families are so important to be healthy in our community for us to have great future outcomes 20 years from now, right? And I think it's amazing. Between the two of you together, almost 2 million pounds of food distributed, just a little bit under that. That's big numbers. And I tell you, I think the point that you all had made, we don't know where we're going to go with inflation and potentially a recession, and some are arguing we're already in a recession. But if that is all true, we are going to have more people in need coming. It may be coming. And we're going to have to hunker down as a community and help those folks out. But I'd say for both of you, 2 things that I just love immensely. First of all, y'all have a heart to help. It's obvious. You're private, and that gives you a lot of flexibility to move fast, flex and bend for needs of people. You don't have to fill out a ton of paperwork. They got an issue here. You just try and help them out. It also gives you opportunity to raise money privately, and I think that's so important. And probably the most important thing is you work to help people get to self-sufficiency. That is really, really important. It's important for many different reasons, but people are proud when they can provide for themselves, and you help them get there. And that's a source of pride and dignity in my mind for everybody, that they know that, you know, maybe with a little help and they just needed it now and they don't need it in the future because they figured out how to get a job or how to get to some other kinds of services or whatever it is. Getting people to self-sufficiency is so important, and both of you work hard on that. So my hat's off to both of you. Thank you for being here. As my colleagues have mentioned, we appreciate the update. Keep on doing great work in northern El Paso County. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. And for anybody that hasn't visited, even in attendance, if anybody is interested, please reach out to Renee or I. We would welcome the opportunity to show you around. So thank you for the continued support.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 8.
Item number 8 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. This is the public's opportunity to speak on an item not scheduled on today's agenda. And Mr. Chair, I had no individuals sign in before the meeting started, so I have no names to read into the record.
All right, I do see one person has come up. He's signing in, and while he's doing that, I'll just ask, is anybody online? No one online, okay. And is there anybody else that was interested in coming down and speaking for any item not on the agenda that's in the audience today? And I don't see anybody else, so please go ahead.
Good morning. My name's Andrew Dalby, candidate for Colorado Springs mayor. You obviously all know that. I'd like to say happy election day as well. Unfortunately, we no longer have an election day. As you know, just wanted to talk about a couple of events that have come across the news as I've seen it. John Fetterman sued to count votes that were post-dated or undated in blatant violation of election law. Vox had an article how we won't know who won for days or weeks. ABC said, you know, all the polling shows a red wave, but don't let that fool you. It'll be a red mirage. In the coming weeks, more votes will show up, and that will probably flip a lot of those elections. If only there were a way that we could solve that problem. I'm disappointed that we have chosen to go from a system that worked for 235 years, where we voted in person, had appropriate security measures on our ballots, and tabulated the votes on election day, to a season of confusion and disorder, where ballots are of unknown provenance show up sometimes many days after the election happened, and can change the outcome of the results, or the outcome of the elections. That's all I have to say. I would like it to be election day. I'd like to wish you happy election day. I'm looking forward to the results, and then I hope they don't change too much. I do have I'm sorry, I did have one other thing that I wanted to discuss. I was listening to Richard Randall's show yesterday about the El Paso County GOP Central Committee meeting that happened over the weekend, censuring Peak Republicans for illegally using the name Republicans in their name. And it's been mentioned several times by the members of this commission that if you want to change the way that we do elections, then vote for a Republican House and Senate in the state legislature. And it was brought up that there are two good Republicans who are running for office, Scott Bottoms and Ken DeGraaf, another Dutch name. Sorry about that. Yes, you're not on the ballot today.
Yeah.
But that are running, and they did not receive the support of the Peak Republicans. I'd just like to offer you all the opportunity to support those two fine gentlemen in their efforts to be elected to the State House. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And I don't think we had anybody else, so one last opportunity, and I don't see anybody coming forward. Let us move on now to item number 9, and go ahead, let's have the reading.
Item number 9, proclamation recognizing Veterans Day in the United States and Remembrance Day in Canada. Lejinos Gonzalez Jr., Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners.
Commissioner Gonzalez, it's all yours.
Thank you. So I'll move to approve a proclamation recognizing Veterans Day in the United States and Remembrance Day in Canada. Whereas the 11th of November, 1918 marked the cessation of combat in what was then the most destructive and far-reaching war in history. And whereas the Congress of the United States, following World War I, officially recognized that the recurring anniversary of this date, which would come to be known as Armistice Day, should be commemorated with Thanksgiving and prayer and exercises designated to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding between nations. And whereas Congress amended its earlier legislation in 1954 by striking out the word armistice and inserting in its place the word veterans, thereby expressing its intent that November 11th should be a day to honor American veterans of all wars. And whereas the freedoms we enjoy today are protected by our men and women in the United States Armed Forces. These protectors of liberty put their lives on the line every day to safeguard our way of life. And whereas Canada, our neighbor, our partner in defense, and our trusted ally, honors its military on this day also, calling it Remembrance Day. And whereas families in both countries have stood by proudly as their sons, daughters, husbands, and wives answered the call of duty. And whereas we who have benefited from their painful and many sacrifices are grateful and appreciative of their selfless efforts. And whereas more than 100,000 veterans and their families call the Pikes Peak region home, and all residents of El Paso County, Colorado, should join in the pride and appreciation to all veterans. And whereas it is our privilege to also recognize a local service organization, the Auxiliary to the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 6461, on their 75th years of service to the community and their unwavering support of veterans and their families through the various programs they administer or sponsor. Now, therefore, the Board of El Paso County Commissioners recognizes November 11, 2022 as Veterans Day in El Paso County and encourages all El Paso County citizens to extend the heartfelt greeting, thank you for your service, to each and every veteran they meet. Done this 8th day of November 2022 at Colorado Springs, Colorado, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Stan Vanderwerf, Chair, Cami Bremer, Vice Chair, Lojinos Gonzalez Jr., Holly Williams, and Kerry Geithner, members, attested to by Chuck Borman, County Clerk and Recorder.
Second. And I appreciate my fellow commissioners letting me do the second. Being a veteran myself, thank you so much. So appreciate the reading, Commissioner.
Yeah, and I do think we have our Veteran Service Officer here. I'm not sure if he'd like to make a statement, or the Director as well.
Outstanding. Please come forward.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pete Carey, Executive Director of Justice Services. One of the best parts of my job is working with our Veteran Service Officer, Marshall Bosworth, and his crew that serve our veterans. A few years ago, I heard the term garrison community. Colorado Springs is a garrison community, and I am so honored to be a part of this garrison community and serving the folks that need it the most. I'd like to turn it over to Marshall Bosworth just to maybe share a couple numbers with the number of veterans that we have in our community and the numbers that they serve every single year. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to honor our veterans, and I'm pretty proud to work with Marshall and the crew he has. I'd put him up against any other group in the state or the nation. They serve our veterans in this community well. Marshall.
Thank you, Pete. Good morning, Commissioners. Marshall Bosworth, Veteran Service Officer. Thanks for putting me on the spot with numbers, and I have nothing written down. So, yeah, recently we had responded to a letter to the editor, and we put some of those numbers in there. Our office, with a staff of 10 people, is having 6,000 to 8,000 client contacts per month. And that's everything, email, phone calls, and people walking in the door. So with that, we've actually, as of September, brought in over $800,000 in retroactive pay for veterans in our community and their family members. So there's just a couple numbers for you. We pretty much double what the VA average is in our office compared to what they bring in for our county, between $9,000 and $18,000. But enough about us. What I would like to say is, you made me nervous, Pete, thanks. First of all, thank you for recognizing Veterans Day. We don't have a lot of people here today, but your continued support of the veterans in this community and this office is key. Even when no one is looking, we're still doing the right things. We're still honoring the veterans in our community and recognizing Veterans Day. And what I would really just is a heartfelt thank you for that. Thank you very much.
And if I may add to finish up, in my experience, veterans make the best police officers there are.
All right. Mr. Carey, you might know a little bit about that, right? Yeah, great. Well, don't go away yet. Come back up. I think some of us commissioners might have some comments. We'd like you to be at the podium to hear them. Commissioner Williams.
So thank you to everyone in here for their service. As a veteran, we have many connections to veterans here. And also thank you, Marshall, for your continued excellence at the Veterans Services Office. Our community truly appreciates it. I always speak about how proud I am of my father serving in the Korean War. And I think that's an important historical fact. I had an uncle who was on the beaches of Normandy. So it's wonderful to have family members, but more importantly, I really love being in a community that is truly a veterans community, a military community. This is not the type of community I grew up in. This is a community that actively embraces its veterans, its military members, the more than 100,000 veterans and their families, where the Veterans Day Parade is a wonderful celebration. And I am very, very proud to live in Colorado Springs in El Paso County, Colorado, because of our history of embracing the veterans in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Others?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for all the wonderful services and the dedication to the veterans in our community. Obviously, we have veterans here on the board, and a couple of us have spouses that are veterans as well. And as Commissioner Williams said, I'm proud to be a part of a community that recognizes our veterans and the service to our great nation. You know, it's been difficult. I think with the withdrawal from Afghanistan for a lot of our veterans, it's hard sometimes to talk to folks of who are veterans from any war, and want to make sure that they know that their service has not been forgotten. It was important, that what they did was brave and honorable, and I always want to continue to make sure that we never let that be forgotten, especially on this day that our nation celebrates Veterans Day, but every day. And I'm proud that we continue to not just have a proclamation and say that we're proud of our veterans, but actually show that by taking good care of veterans in our community. Just recently, as we were talking about our budget, making sure that we were getting the resources available to make sure people are getting the care that they need in our community, passing a resolution just recently to take care of the spouses of fallen veterans as well. So we don't not only are recognizing this day, but we continue to actually put the things in place that will show our veterans every day that they're not forgotten, not just in ceremony, but in everyday life. So very grateful for the services to all of our veterans. I just do not have the words truly to thank those who put themselves in harm's way for the benefit of all of us, and to all the families that have the hard task of supporting their veterans, both when they're gone and when they come back home and are dealing with what is inevitably the difficulty of being in a war situation. So thank you, and I know that I will be praying ardently this week for all of our veterans.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great comments. Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's fitting that we're doing this proclamation also on Election Day, because without our veterans, we would not be here and able to do that. It's because of our veterans that we've defeated slavery, Nazism, communism, just to mention a few. And it's because of our veterans that my son has the chance to grow up in the greatest country in the world. You know, I've spent my life surrounded by veterans, and for that, I'm incredibly grateful. My husband served as an officer in the Air Force for 14 years, and between he and his two brothers, who also both serve, they have a combined 50 years of service in the Air Force. And, you know, I'd like to focus today, though, on a different veteran, one I pretty much knew from the day I was born. Joining us today, my mom and dad are sitting in the back row up there, and they're visiting from Georgia. And my father's dad, who we called Pops, he served in the Air Force for 20 years. Actually, originally the Army Air Corps, and then eventually the Air Force. By the time I was born, Pops had finished his military service, but I spent my childhood learning about how Pops had served our nation in Korea and watching war movies with him and seeing that deep respect he had for his service. He met the love of his life and married my grandmother a few days before heading to war himself. And though that is the forgotten war in much of America, we never forgot the service that Pops gave to our nation. There he is, a young whippersnapper, as he would say. But Pops left us last year, but he remains with our family every day. And my son is named after my dad and Pops, who share the same name in honor of these great men in our life. My life has been forever enriched by being fortunate to be in a family of veterans, and that's why I'm proud to celebrate Veterans Day this week in honor of our military and our veterans. And again, without them, we would not be here today. Thanks, Dad.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your great comments. And as is our tradition, we'll have Commissioner Gonzalez provide our closing comments since he read the proclamation, but I'll make my comments now then. First of all, welcome to Commissioner Bremer's family for being here in El Paso County, and it's my understanding that I think you'll be at the State of the Region as well. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for serving, sir. Appreciate it. And I tell you, it is so important to honor veterans. In addition to Commissioner Gonzalez and I being veterans ourselves, we do, as was stated earlier, have other members of this board whose spouses were veterans. This is a veterans town. This is a military town and county, and we take care of our veterans. It's we see it as a calling. So I deeply appreciate our Veteran Services officers and our office in El Paso County for everything you do to help veterans, to make sure that they get the services that was promised to them, or solve whatever problems may be in front of them. And sometimes they do need that help, and I know that we do great work for that. In the State of the Region on Thursday, we will honor veterans because it will be one day before Veterans Day on that day. Many of us have family members that served. My brother served in the Army as a tanker, and I had two uncles that served in one post-World War II, the Vietnam era, but the other one served in World War II and was a gunner on a B-29 and did missions over Japan. So he certainly served in a very difficult place. And I think every family has somebody in the family that has served to protect this nation from tyranny, to ensure that our Constitution can remain whole, and to make sure that we continue to have both personal and market freedoms, because those are what make a country great. So I do appreciate all of the services that every veteran has provided to this country. And many of us have friends that we have lost, especially us veterans have had friends that we have lost. I've lost a couple friends during my service, one to a training accident in a V-22, and the other one to combat here about a decade ago. But many of us have others that we know, and it does affect us. It is important that we help veterans take care of some of the challenges that they sometimes have. So with that, those are my comments, and what I'd like to do is pass this over to Commissioner Gonzalez to close up our comments, and then we'll take a vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first off, I wanted to thank Pete and Marshall for the great work that you do, that your entire team does, and on behalf of our veterans, our veteran community here. You guys do outstanding work. As you mentioned before, the numbers speak for themselves. This is a community that takes care of our veterans, and it's because of people like you and organizations like you. And we've got wonderful American Legion, VFWs, Purple Heart organizations, disabled veterans, the disabled American veterans as well, other entities that support us, and I wanted to thank them for that. Did want to thank our chair here. He did get also with I attend the reception and the parade for the Veterans Day parade this last weekend. Hopefully others were able to get out as well. It was a nice event, a little chilly, but it's a very nice event. And like I said, there was a lot of activities that started even last Friday and continue through this week as we celebrate the Veterans Day. I come from a family, first generation, but I'll tell you what, we're proud of our veterans. We're proud of our country. We love our country, and we want to support our country as best possible. When my dad served, he actually served here in Fort Carson. So very proud of that. And then of my cousins and myself, we have members who have served in the Marines, the Navy, the Army. I was the first, I believe, in the Air Force and an officer, and I'm very proud, even though I sometimes have to bite my tongue, that my cousin's son just graduated from West Point this last month. And then, of course, I'm a proud Air Force Academy graduate. And so just the love that we had for our community and our veterans is one of the reasons I love this community and why I retired here, because this is an area that supports our veterans, loves our veterans, and loves our country. And I want to make sure that we continue that. And this is the way we do that is by highlighting this, remembering all those, and thanking those who have served for our country, and remembering those that have served in the past and made this country as great as it is. So thank you, and God bless to all our veterans out there.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great comments. Let's go ahead and proceed with the vote at this time, and then I assume there'll be no objection to taking a brief recess for a photograph. Okay, let's proceed with the vote. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Let's take that brief recess for a photo, and then we'll come right back.
Kim, are your mom and dad?
All right, let's reconvene at this time. And next up is item number 10.
Item number 10 is the called up consent calendar. There are no items called up.
All right, item number 11.
Item number 11 is department and committee reports, non-action items. 11A, Pikes Peak Workforce Center update. Tracy Marquez, Executive Director, CEO, Pikes Peak Workforce Center.
Good morning.
Good morning. First, thank you for letting us provide this annual update to you. Just give you a little bit of information of what we've been doing this past year. And in honoring of Veterans Day and keeping kind of with that momentum, veterans in the state of Colorado have priority of service first. What that means for the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment, who we report to, is by law, every veteran gets priority of our services. If you receive a stack of 10 resumes, by law, the first one you have to look at is those who are identified as a veteran. You don't necessarily have to interview them, but you have to look at the resume first. For us, we have a veterans triage form that any veteran that identifies when they walk into the Workforce Center automatically gets priority of service. And next Thursday, when we have our community and veterans job fair, the first 45 minutes will be open to veterans only. So veterans and military spouses are really near and dear to our heart and everything that we do.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but I just have to say, you've got some pretty festive-looking charts this morning. These are nice. I like it. I like it.
We're colorful. We may be government, but we don't want to look government, that's for sure.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Nope, that's fine. End of the pandemic. Going to the first slide here. End of the pandemic, thanks to El Paso County CARES Act funding and ARPA funding, we were able to open up a satellite office within a couple months of the pandemic starting. This allowed us a social distancing area that we were able to have where people could come in and use our computers. We're very thankful to the Pikes Peak Library District, who actually donated tables and chairs for us to use, and to our own staff at the Workforce Center, who really got us up and running with IT equipment out of El Paso County IT to really give us the services that we need to meet the people where they are, not where we think they should be. We are back at CSC currently, and I'm going to talk about different programs, and we're a visual organization, so I've got pictures of our staff so you can put names with faces. Toria Graham represents our program services. Our program services are our nationally, federally funded programs, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, along with all of our discretionary grants. As you recall, we report to the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment and also U.S. Department of Labor with our regulations. With our WIOA, W-I-O-A, Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, as you can see, we've served quite a few adults and youth in our programs. These programs are geared to those with significant barriers to employment. We have a lot of metrics and outcomes that we have to meet with this. We work a lot with our community partners like Tri-Lakes Cares. Tri-Lakes Cares meet that initial need, whereas people are going to come to us when they want that stackable credential. They want to make that sustained wage. We have to track people the second quarter and the fourth quarter after they leave our programs to make sure they're still employed. And then we also have to track their wage to making sure that they're earning a sustainable wage. In addition, we have to track measurements, skills gain. We have to track to make sure that they are increasing their skills by using our federal dollars. These are some of our discretionary grants. Some of these we've had for quite a while. The Governor's Summer Job Hunt helps in-school youth programs. We have our RISA, which helps those who've been identified as unemployed with a tendency to be a long-term unemployed member of our community. We work directly one-on-one with it, providing resume assistance and job search-related activities. Our other grants that we have some discretionary grants from the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment. One of them is the Upskill, the Reskill Next Skill grant, where we have helped over 580 people gain skills and credentials in in-demand industries. Our Pathway Home grant is our Justice Involved Citizen grant. That allows us, that we're partnering with the Department of Corrections, and that allows us to go into the state prison systems pre-release to work with those who are incarcerated pre-release, and then when they're done, they can work with us post-release. A lot of the assistance that we're providing them are bicycles. They have barriers to transportation. If you walk into the Workforce Center, you'll see several boxes of bicycles where we actually purchase bicycles and helmets, safety first, to be able to give them the skills or enable the ability to get to the jobs that they need to get to. In addition, these are some of our outcomes and metrics that we have. One thing that we added this year is a resume coach. Our resume coach has hours that you can set an appointment for and also have walk-in hours. We're really starting to see the 55 plus population come into the workforce center and really need help with those resumes. They've had the same job for 10, 15, 20 years. They don't understand the skills that they have and how they put that on paper, let alone how they prepare for an interview. We're really starting to see in the last 3 months, we've had over 100 people come use our resume assistance services.
Just a quick question on the statistics that you have on the charts. Are they calendar year 22 or are they a different type of fiscal year?
So the ones on the chart, these are our program year. So we have 3 different calendars. Our program year is July 1st through June 30th, our fiscal calendar, and then we have the calendar from January to December. And the ones on here are our program year.
Okay. And these numbers that I saw, for example, like 431 upskilled, that would have been start to end time. Where's that?
Grant, well, all of our grants have different grant cycles. That grant cycle, we've had 1.8 million. We received it last year, and that has been, all that money has been sent. So that 581 for the reskill, upskill, next skill has all been done within the last year.
Okay. So apparently I'm not going to get a real clean answer on kind of the start time and the end time for each of the numbers. It depends on the dollars, depends on some other things. Okay, great.
And actually, I can jump to that here. Lori Gervais, let me back up a little bit, and then Commissioner, I can address that, is our financial manager. She is a phenomenal financial manager, is very accurate with what we have budgeted and what we have actually spent for the calendar year. And if you look at this chart here, this is a very confusing chart. We have 12 different funding streams. Of these different funding streams, they have different life cycles. And you can look on there and look in parentheses as far as seeing when the grants start and when they end. Once again, we report to Colorado Department of Labor and Employment and USDOL, and they all have their own metrics and outcomes and grant cycles. So I'll pause there, Commissioner, see if you have any other questions on those.
So in the aggregate, you just need to say, in recent history, we did this. Okay, thank you.
This is what we do.
Yes, no questions on this. I see this often as Commissioner Gonzalez and I serve on your consortium board. But I'll have you go from this chart back, if we can, to the one that shows Lori. There we go. So she is who does a beautiful and incredible job of managing all of this. And I believe at the last end of budget year, we kind of just found out that she was within 0.01% of projected dollars spent, which is exceptional with that many different funding streams, that many different bosses to keep happy, that many different organizations, and that many citizens served. So I don't know how she does it. It's amazing. But I think going from that, just a glimpse of that spreadsheet to Lori's face is probably appropriate. She does a great job.
She does a phenomenal job for the organization. She leads the state in budget and really criteria, and really leading the state in financial teams for all Colorado Department of Labor and Employment, their workforce center, the 10 local areas, really overseeing the fiscal part of it to making sure that we're accurate and do due diligence of taxpayer dollars. We have gone from 27 million in 2022 to 17 million in our program year 21, which was July of 2020 through, no, I'm sorry, July 2021 to June of 2022 was our program year. Currently, we're at $12 million. That started this July, and it will go until June of 2023. This Wagner Peiser services, these are universal services. These are services that anyone can use. They can walk into the workforce center and use any of our services. This really gives you the data as far as what we're seeing in our satellite offices. As you know, we cover Teller County 2. We have offices in Woodland Park and satellite offices in Cripple Creek 2. We really start to see the amount of people that were coming in. We saw over 22,000 people last year. We're averaging about 30 to 40 people a day. Pre-pandemic, we're averaging about 125 people a day. We are seeing a decrease of traffic coming in, and we're really trying to be strategic as far as how can we get people back into the workforce, how can we reach out to them, and we're really at doing some pop-ups and taking an on-the-road show to really being able to go out into the community a lot more strategically after the pandemic to really be able to meet the people where they are, not where we think they should be. Bob Giminani oversees our in-school youth program. You may recognize this as a Pikes Peak Business to Education Alliance. This came under our umbrella last year, and it really helps with the in-school youth population. We know that the learning loss due to K through 12 during the pandemic is significant. We really need to make a concentrated effort to get back into the schools to really help them get the career exploration, the career pathways, the paid internships, career exploration, to really get into tomorrow's workforce. This is our future workforce. We know learning loss because of the pandemic is equivalent to making $72,000 a year and not getting paid for it. We're really being very strategic to be able to go in there. And the key for education, and we have ongoing conversations with the school districts, the superintendents, is the school has to produce a product that business wants to buy. And it's going into there and giving them the data. We use data-driven decisions to give them the data that they need to be able to make informed decisions as far as their career and technical education programs, what type of exploration they need to have for their students. And then in addition, we're starting to work with the school systems and their teachers, giving the teachers the knowledge of what career pathways are out there and what are the future careers that we see. We also this year had an excellent opportunity to present at a national conference. We presented our in-school youth program with Bob Gimnani and Erica Romero from our business service team at the National Association of Workforce Development Board in April in DC. It was a great event and a great turnout and a lot of feedback and really lessons learned and a best practice nationally. Erica Romero is our superstar that oversees our business service team. As you notice, the theme of the red ribbon or the red tape throughout all of this, we'd like to take the red tape that we receive from the government and turn it into red streamers. And you're going to see the theme throughout this whole PowerPoint of really how we blend and braid that red ribbon so it makes sense and we meet people where they are and really help understand what government is and what we do. This talks a little bit about our hiring events. And a couple things I want to point out on this slide is the job openings. This is from our job bank, the state job bank, connectingcolorado.com. There are over 98,000 open positions last program year. And with that, what that means is at the Workforce Center, we're required by law for every job opening, a person has to review that job posting. They have to make sure it's legit. They have to make sure it's a company, there's a FIN number attached to it. And then in addition, that goes out to the community, those who match the skill sets in Connecting Colorado. And for the first 4 hours, those job openings are only open to veterans and military spouses. This talks a little bit about our job fair. I mentioned next week is our Community USA sponsored community and veterans job fair. It's also military spouses. We are starting to see a decrease in our hiring events and our job fairs. It's the people that are looking for work. We know there's more job openings than people, and really 175 employers, at next week's job fair. And then I'm going to turn over to Becca to talk about her creativity of how we're recruiting the people to come use our services, both social media and print. And TV. Well, I actually have one more slide. Anyway, this talks about our job coaches and incumbent worker training. Incumbent worker training is a government term. We've rebranded it Employee Development Grant, where we actually can go in and help upskill existing employees in a business. Example is BlueStack. We used BlueStack and upskilled their existing workers in Amazon Web Services and Security Onion 2, really being able to help upskill their existing workforce, which makes it easier to employ and hire in lower entry-level positions. Job coach is a really key to what we do. A job coach is your go-between between an employer and a participant. There may be times when a participant's going in, we placed them in a on-the-job training or work experience, paid internship, and they're 15 minutes late every day. And the employer is getting really frustrated with it, and the employee's getting really frustrated in it. Well, it turns out they're 15 minutes late because the bus is 15 minutes. It doesn't arrive at 8 o'clock, it arrives at 8:15. So that job coach will go in and talk to the employer and also talk to the job seeker and really make them sit down and understand what's going on in the surroundings around them, what's around them, and really being able to connect the two and give them both success in the placement. This is some of our awards. We're really proud of what we do and how we help people. We were awarded the Goodwill of Colorado Award this past summer, which was a great honor. Colorado Best Place Workforce Development, Best Place to Work by the Gazette. So really proud of what we do and all of our community and the services that we provide as a staff. All right, Becca.
Good morning. I'm Becca Ton, Communications Manager for the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, and in that role, I oversee our communications, public relations, advertising, marketing, social media, website, et cetera. And as Tracy mentioned, things have been different since the pandemic. We're still helping all the people, but we're helping them more over the phone or online because they're reluctant to come in to our facilities. So I'll talk a little bit later about how we reach out to them. So part of communications includes our workshops, and I'm waiting for the slide. I can see it's about to pop up here. That we're renowned for our workshops in Colorado and throughout the other workforce centers. So Erin Hutchinson, our training facilitator in program year 21, taught 132 workshops with over 2,800 people attending. And then she did, I landed a media interview for her. She did staff training and worked at Fort Carson as well. And so also with our website, we are continuing to attract more than 5,400 users a month. And that website, it mimics what you're seeing here. It is well designed, it's bright and colorful, it's easy to navigate, and most importantly, it is ADA compliant. We're very proud of that, and we work very hard to maintain that. And then we continue to participate in 100 media interviews each year. And we are definitely the go-to for a resource for all things labor force and workforce with the 4 TV stations, the Business Journal, the Gazette, the Colorado Sun, and other publications. So we're very proud of that. And that, of course, helps get the word out to more businesses and job seekers about what we do. We reach about 130,000 people a month on Facebook. So they've sort of disappeared. They're not coming into our center. We used to reach them in our center with our marketing and flyers and talking to them. So they still come in, but not nearly as many as before. And so, as Tracy said, we reach them where they are, and they are on social media. And so that's where we are, and we attract a lot of attention that way. We have a lot of engagement and comments and shares. Most importantly, moms and granddads and all the people who are out there, they are sharing our posts to their friends and family and tagging them, and it's fun to see that, you know. So that of course increases how much reach we have. And then we use Constant Contact, a digital marketing platform, to send out invitations and announcements to thousands of businesses and thousands of job seekers in our region. We do this several times a week, and we also update our website with new content and with updated flyers and visual images literally 20 times a day. So this is a living, breathing website. We are very proud of that. And also we're proud to be a part of El Paso County, and we're proud to be a part of the workforce centers. But we do have, hands down, the most cheerful and colorful office and website and marketing materials of all of the workforce centers in Colorado. And as you know, a lot of our clients, when they come to see us, they're in a difficult spot in life. And when they come in and see our orange and blue and green walls and the artwork that our employees have done, it brightens their spirits. And if you haven't seen our new Welcome Center, which we upgraded about a year ago, we would love to have you come for a new tour. It is different. Knocked down some walls and construction. All the dust is gone. It's just beautiful now. We'd love to give you a tour. And I think I just about covered everything there. All right, I'll turn it back over to Tracy. Thank you so much.
And for the record, Becca is finally letting me open her own TikTok account. So I'm really excited about TikTok because it's meeting the younger generation and a lot of adults too. So really excited about really looking at different types of media, social media, to really meet people and attract them and get them the skill sets that they need, and know that the Workforce Center here is open to help them. Next, I had the honor this summer to represent, and last spring, to represent the American Council on Transatlantic Relationships with Germany. There was state of Colorado and 3 cities in Germany. It was Denver, Boulder, and Colorado Springs, where we were actually able to integrate and talk about workforce, transatlantic relationships and workforce and digitalization. The Germans came to Colorado in April, and then in June we went to Colorado. We looked at apprenticeships. We started in Stuttgart. And we really were able to make and see what do they do and how it relates to what we do and how we can engage with each other and take away best practices. Part of it was working with the Chamber of Commerce in Germany and their apprenticeship programs. As you know, apprenticeships are earn and learn activity. The state of Colorado and the U.S. Department of Labor is really gearing on that earn and learn opportunity. We were really able to get some insight on how Germany works with apprenticeship programs. At the age of 16 in high school, you have two choices. You can go to higher ed university or you can go to vocational school. And really taking those practices of apprenticeships, we went with Catherine Keegan from the Office of Future Work at the state of Colorado, who oversees the state apprenticeship programs, to really figure out how do we engage locally. We've got a lot of funds coming from the Department of Labor, and what apprenticeships are going to look like and how we can implement them there. We then went to Heidelberg. Heidelberg really has a great university with students, international students, but they also had an old military base. And we looked at that military base. We were working with the Pueblo Chemical Depot, which is also a military installation base that is going to be decommissioning here within the next year. And how do we take a best practice of a military base and really promote it for economic development and workforce development? Some best practices learned there. The picture on the right is one of my partners from Boulder, my colleagues. Interesting thing about German and their culture and the businesses, every office is required to have a window. And if you think of that window, that sunlight is a lot more conducive to your feelings and how you feel. And it was really neat to see in Germany where everyone had to have a window in their office. Then last year, we were actually able to talk to their equivalent of U.S. Department of Labor, spoke to us, and we really talked about, the future of work. And this is a picture of their job center and what it looked like. And what we realized is we do the same things, we do it differently. Germany has a lot of benefits that are offered directly to the residents, whereas we have a different approach to it. And really being able to help understand it and work around and talk through some best practices. It was a great experience, and we still have great relationships. From Colorado, the UCCS and their innovation department professor went, and then also from the city of Colorado Springs, their innovation group also attended with me. Today's realities and opportunities. There's a lot going on. As you know, we're seeing a decrease in the workforce. We're seeing an increase of 55+ population. We need to focus on K through 12 education. If we don't focus and take a more intentional and strategic approach to K through 12, that's our future workforce. And we really need to give them the career exploration, the skills that they need to be tomorrow's workforce talent. We're also looking at quality jobs. Quality jobs is a new buzzword coming down from the U.S. Department of Labor. And what quality jobs is, it means something different to everyone. And really trying to define that quality job layout and network here in the state of Colorado. We know as a workforce center and an American Job Center representing the Pikes Peak region, we're going to be required at some point in time within a couple years to really define quality jobs. Quality jobs are not just wages. It's about wraparound services. It's about professional development. It's about giving back to society. Today, you're working with multiple generations in your workforce. And how do you make sure you offer a quality job to each and individual person? Really being able to give them the skills that they need and the ability for professional development, if they so choose, ability to give back, really being able to understand what that quality job is. And like I said earlier, apprenticeships, it's a new earn and learn model. We're working with DHS to develop an apprenticeship program for their entry-level income maintenance tech worker. You got Tech 1, Tech 2, Tech 3. It's an apprenticeship program already. It's just not defined. So we're working with them and our apprenticeship coordinator to develop a true apprenticeship program, which we know that those in apprenticeships and apprentice, they have a 90% retention rate. We know what apprenticeships do and it works. And so really trying to get more people to understand apprenticeships and the future of tomorrow. Then lastly, I have been honored to be appointed to the National Association of Workforce Boards as a liaison for a 7-state region. As you may know Lisa Ann McNew, one of our small business owners in our community, is a chair of the Colorado Workforce Development Council and incoming chair for the National Association of Workforce Boards. So we are really honored here as a state, and we're looked as a nation, as a state of Colorado and our workforce, as a best practice, and really being able to help figure out how we do as a region. We know jobs, businesses and job seekers don't see county lines or state lines when they're looking, and so really being able to help figure out how as a region we can coordinate and collaborate. And with that, thank you for your time. Open to questions or comments.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? I've got a couple, but I'll reserve those. All right, Commissioner Gonzalez.
I just want to thank the team for all the great work they do for our community. One of the ones you highlighted, I think, was the RUN. I think we did such an effective job. We ran out of money, and we got more money from the state from a different county or something like that. But again, an example of many of all the great things you're all doing.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Yes, Commissioner Geithner.
Yes, thank you. Obviously, lots going on, and it's interesting to hear about the changes that are taking place as our economy shifts and all those things. I found particularly interesting your information about Germany and the German workforce. I lived in Germany for a couple of years. It's a very, very different culture. I would also caution us a little bit, having lived there and actually seen the result of some of their programs. We should be very careful to take a full look at those, because some of them sound very good in theory in terms of pushing kids off into apprenticeships, but what we found is, especially in their medical community, their medical care is not particularly great. And one of the experiences that I had is that they had a lot of folks who were probably too young to be nurses in nursing situation, things like that. So while I'm certain that there are always things to be learned, in the positive, there's also a lot of things that we should really be paying attention to in the negative, and getting the full story of how that actually folds out, because certainly everyone wants to put their best foot forward and tell you about all the positive things, but there's some very interesting things there as well. It's a very, very different culture, and I'm also going to point out you can also have 2 beers at lunch. So that is what's that?
Is that a positive or negative?
I'm not making passing judgment. I am just stating that is a well-known fact, if you've lived in Germany, that it's acceptable to have up to 2 beers with your lunch. So there's a lot of very interesting cultural things there. But I think it's very interesting that you're looking at it, and I hope that there's lots of diving into what all those differences are. It's a very, very different culture in terms of compliance, and what the expectation is from their government and from their job. So it's a very interesting to see how we could take some of those things, but also be very cautious, considering that we have a very, very different type of system here, most definitely. But it's a beautiful country as well. So. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner, if I can reply to that real quick. It was really interesting. We had 11 Americans and 11 Germans with us, and we would go to receive presentations from their top people within a certain department. And when we were walking out, we've all become very good friends, the 22 of us. And we're walking out, and we're like, okay, give us the reality of it, and does it really work or not? And we were very conscientious that you hear all the great things, but the reality and boots on the ground implementation and the problems that they have, talking to the business owners and people who work there, it was a great opportunity, not just to see the bells and whistles, to actually have reality. And we did learn a lot from that. So thank you for the comment. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much. Commissioner Williams.
On just a lighter note, first of all, thank you for the ribbons. I actually put up my nativity scene 2 months ago. So I personally will celebrate Christmas early when I need to. So I wanted to thank you on a couple levels. I think the DHS apprenticeships are probably very valuable there. I know that they have a social worker certificate over at UCCS, and I think that transition, it's an interesting industry to go into. It also requires a lot of computer work, a lot of training. And so I appreciate you reaching out and working with them to do that. And then I also appreciate, since I'm the chairman of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, the work with individuals who are justice involved coming out of prison, and helping them find jobs, because that is a key to their success and to keep them, get them back on their feet, stable, and to keep them from ending up back in jail. And so we appreciate all the work that you do there. And I love the ribbons, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you both for being here. And I know there's a huge team behind you as well. And I wanted to take the opportunity to also give a shout out to our Workforce Development Board, which is rather large. Can you remind me of the number of members of that?
29.
29-member board, and Tracy and her team do a great job of ensuring that that's representative of an entire workforce community, really. So a shout out also to our board, to all of our employees, and then to our partners in Teller County as well.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And so some of my comments, first of all, I appreciate the comments about Germany. It is a beautiful country. I lived there for 2 years. And I learned a lot about how they run their economy. It really is different from us. A couple of examples that I found that I think are interesting, but they're illustrative. I remember a friend of mine, a German friend, wanted to get a license to run a butcher shop in a little town not too far from where I was living. He was denied that because the town already had a butcher shop and the state was determining how many butcher shops they should have in that town. And I was like, wait a minute, if you meet all of the safety requirements, that individual should have a butcher shop, whether it succeeds or fails. But the state was determining, who would be in the market. The other one was fascinating to me. I had another friend, an American friend. He wanted to get a hunting license and go hunting, just an avid hunter. After spending $4,000 in the 1980s to get a hunting license, then the Jägermeister went with him to go hunting, which was a state employee. The Jägermeister told him which animal to shoot. And then if he did not kill the animal with one bullet, he lost his license for the rest of his life. And I'm like, wow. So there's a lot of government involvement in the markets in Germany. And to be fair, I'm not 100% sure how anything like that could really work well here. We really are a different country. Having said that, it is a beautiful place. But I learned a lot about, how, it's like on the surface, we seem to be kin in how we think and work, but when you actually get down and into the nuts and bolts, it is a really different country with a really different perspective about how they run an economy. I found that to be really interesting. Okay, enough on Germany. My first comment or question is, with the Department of Labor, we've been working on that Wagner-Peiser language, and we did get that to be a national NACO position 2 years in a row, but I haven't heard an update about what has transpired with DOL and that language, and I'm hopeful we have been successful with that. So where are we on that? Or is the battle still raging?
The battle's closed. We're waiting on the final decision. Rumor has it the U.S. Department of Labor will release the Wagner-Peiser final rulemaking in this January, sometime January, February of 2023. We also know that with what the elections being today and what's going on with the House and Senate, that could completely change the direction that we're going, depending on who's coming in, who heads the chair of the Education Labor Committee, could also dictate how this is going to change too. So there's a lot of writing on today and what's going to happen, what changes are going to be.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I'm glad a negative decision hasn't been made, but they certainly are taking their time. And maybe just for the record, but you can correct me if I don't say this exactly right. If the Department of Labor just uses a couple simple sentences in the wrong way, our workforce center will have to fire all its employees, and they'll have to be rehired or re-interviewed and rehired as state employees, which I am not a fan of that. I think that's a mistake. There's no guarantee that they would come back to the workforce center. It's an issue about loss of local control. I think we know better, what goes on here. Now, having said that, I mean, many of them probably would be the same employees and so forth, but it is a loss of local control, all because of a couple of sentences in a policy document from the Department of Labor. And I know that we had several other counties that were really starting to support the interest in keeping that language properly positioned so that we could just continue to do our work as we do now and retain that concept of a demonstration state, which I know was kind of a test case or a training or just, I forget exactly what it was, but just kind of a special case. And I get it, demonstration state might not be the best choice of words for it, but it just seems like it's another way to allow local government to be able to do workforce centers in a healthy way. I found it interesting when I pursued that to get a second NACO national position in the CEWD board for NACO. That there was a lot of support to keep the language so that it doesn't harm El Paso County's workforce center, and there were a few other workforce centers around the country. It ended up being a unanimous vote, regardless of party, to keep that language so that you could do the work. And I even had a former, there was even in that room a former AFL-CIO president, a state president or something like that, that said, you know what, if these folks move from local government to state government, they might have pretty severe impacts on their retirement program, and therefore I oppose it too. I think Department of Labor needs to keep this language. So we got universal, 100% unanimous support, regardless of where they stood politically, in asking the Department of Labor to allow that language, to allow this county and a few other counties to continue to operate as we do. So I just hope that they make a good decision.
If I can comment on that, Commissioner. For that notice of public rulemaking, NPRM, there were over 1,200 comments, public comments on that, which was one of the biggest ones that they ever had. The state of Colorado was the largest. Thank you to El Paso County and the legislation team, Brandon and Ryan, for really helping us develop and guide the comments that we made. And we know that we are seen as an ideal state of local control. We can move at the speed of business, and other states are wanting to change the model that Colorado has. It's what's going on in USDOL that they have decided to change that language. We hope they don't change it and cancel everything that they said they want to do, but that's yet to be determined. But we made a lot of loud noise.
Yeah. Thank you. We certainly did make our points.
We did.
And I took those opportunities as well with DOL employees when they were at the NACO conference.
Yes.
So thank you for the comments on that item, and I just hope that is successful and doesn't harm our workforce center. I do have one last question, which is, I know you do these hiring events. I know they're highly successful. They help companies get to employees. And I usually ask you from time to time, how many hiring events did you do this year, or whatever period you wish to pick? So what's the answer to that question?
Currently, we're doing hiring events 2 days a week. We're doing hiring events on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we switched our philosophy because of the job seeker, the people that are actually coming out and needing the help and wanting the employment. And I think it's not, people always say people don't want to work. That's really not the case. The case is really a skills gap. We had a skills gap, several years ago. We continue to have a skills gap. We've got childcare issues. We're working with Alliance for Kids to help address a childcare issue and develop apprenticeships in early childhood education, and really bringing more industries together for our hiring events. We had 2 last week. We had one event we had 39 people at, and the other event we had 10 people at. But we still are doing a higher ratio of those that attend our events. And that's really why this Reskill, Upskill, and Next Skill funding was really important to us, because we could help close that skills gap that we have in our community. Really help people figure out, do you need a certification? Do you need, Microsoft Office? Do you need to know how to use Access or PowerPoint? We've got free tools that are available for people to use that 24/7, and really being able to help showcase people with those hiring events. It's going to be interesting. Welcome you all to our job fair next Thursday. We're at the Colorado Springs Events Center over off Palmer Park and Academy. Like I said, 175 employers, and it's going to be interesting to see how many people attend.
That's awesome. Now, that's this coming Thursday or next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Okay,
17th.
thank you. Yes, Commissioner.
And do I recall that is now the largest job fair in the state, correct?
We host the largest job fairs in the state, whether it's a virtual platform or in-person platform.
Yeah, great job. Okay, those are my comments. Thank you very much. Anything else from any of the commissioners? All right, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's continue with the agenda. Item number 12.
Item number 12 is the addendum. There is no addendum.
All right, item number 13.
Item number 13 is the executive session. There's no request for executive session.
All right, very good. Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned. And let's, I guess we have a informal Shall we take 20 minutes or so and reconvene there at the top of the hour?